Welcome to Partnerships for Profit, the podcast where we bring you inside the world of joint ventures, strategic partnerships, and powerful collaborations. Whether you're looking to expand your network, find new referral partners, or scale your business, you're in the right place. Let's get started.
On this episode of Partnerships for Profit, we are joined by Tom Freiling, a 3-time founder, publishing innovator, and the force behind over 100 million in book sales. For 3 decades, Tom's been shaping the future of storytelling, working with New York Times bestsellers, selling millions of books, and leading publishing companies to NASDAQ acquisitions. Featured in Forbes, Entrepreneur, and Fast Company, Tom's mastered the art of turning ideas into publishing gold. Today, he's pulling back the curtain on what it really takes to create impact, authority, and revenue through the power of written word, even in the age of AI. Tom, welcome to the podcast.
Hey, thanks, Dean. Thanks for inviting me to be on the podcast. Looking forward to chatting with you today.
Yeah. So let's do a quick review for everyone. What brought you into this world?
Wow, what brought me into it? I mean, I've been publishing books and have been an entrepreneur for the better part of 30 years. I fell into it by accident. I can't say that I intentionally charted this path or this course.
Yeah.
It was my first job out of college was in publishing, and I loved it. And I stuck with it. And even as an entrepreneur, I can't even say that was that intentional either. It was, I needed a job. That's the bottom line. So my circumstances, I had to create my own job, and I did. And I was lucky and blessed that it worked out as well as it has.
Did you find that you stumbled into mentorship or finding people to kind of help you along that alleyway, or were you kind of I'm going to figure this thing out myself kind of guy?
Yeah, I was a lone wolf. In fact, I would say one of the things I could have done better, should have done better, is seeking more help. And it's not that I didn't seek help, at all.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've always been kind of a DIY sort of a guy. And that would be some advice I would give to other entrepreneurs is, don't be that way too much. People will gladly give you their advice. They want to do that. They like to be asked to mentor. So I think it's super helpful to do that.
What did you find along your way that kind of helped you hone into what you were doing?
I always look for opportunities where the customer is not being served. And I think that's been part of the reason for my success and sometimes lack thereof, I guess. But I look for areas where nobody else is serving the customer. And in publishing, in my very early days in publishing, there was not really a thing called self-publishing. So I jumped into that because there wasn't much of that. So really along the way, I've always looked for opportunities like that rather than, trying to compete with a lot of others who are doing the same thing. I try to find opportunities where there's not a lot of competitors. I'm not saying that's the right way to do it, but it's what's worked for me.
Yeah. Would you say that's what kind of got you to the $100 million book sale limit? I say limit, max.
Yeah, gosh. A long time ago, I would say even 20 years ago, I thought there was a limit to the number of books that might be published. I thought for sure I was about at the limit, and I found out there is no limit. And even today, the number of books that are published, it continues to increase. And I think AI will be another revolution in that area. It makes it even easier for somebody to write and get published. So there's no limit.
Do you see us getting to a point where it literally just becomes the split off, like you go on Amazon or look for your books in the publishing area, and it's like artists, AI artists?
That's a great question. I don't know what the answer to that is. We're in uncharted territory right now. I think it's completely unpredictable what's going to happen.
Yeah.
I am certainly seeing a lot more AI content come across my desk. I mean, I guess we all are.
Sure.
I'm seeing full-length manuscripts written in AI.
Wow.
And it's obvious to me that it was. I kind of didn't think this would happen. I think people would be bashful about admitting that they used AI to write a book, but they're not at all. But I don't know where it's headed. I mean, the AI is getting better and better all the time.
Yeah.
6 months ago, I could easily tell if a book was written by AI. Today, I have to work a little bit harder at it. I suspect in another 6 months, it will be very difficult to know if something was written by AI.
As soon as ChatGPT learns not to dash everything and add the words diving in, we're diving in. We have diving into so many things lately.
Yeah. There's certain words it likes to use repeatedly. Definitely.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. What do you think, obviously you've dealt with a lot of bestsellers. What do you find is like something that goes with the books that always become just, a legend of a book and I'll read it a few times versus this will do well, but it's going to fade
Mhm.
quickly.
That's a really good question. It's probably my most frequently asked question. My first answer is I'm not sure, even having done this for so many years. I am still surprised at what books rise to the top and what ones don't. I sat with an author many years ago, read his manuscript. I did not think it stood a chance, and I think he sold more than 50 million books.
Wow.
And I have colleagues that have rejected manuscripts that have sold in huge numbers. So it is hard to put your finger on it.
Right.
And sometimes it's the quality of the writing, and sometimes not. I liken it to music. I think sometimes we scratch our heads and wonder why such and such musician is so popular because they don't have a good voice, right? But
Hmm.
there is sometimes a unique element about a person, either a musician or an author, that none of us can really put our finger on. So I think I encourage my authors to put the work out there, put the book out there, and the readers will decide.
Yeah.
Now, that being said, there are certainly some things that you should do, some things you should not do in a book. I probably am better at saying what you shouldn't do, because
Let's
there are
go
some
into there.
really, your book will be DOA
Yeah.
with certain things. The main thing is to write it to the reader. And the
Yeah.
biggest mistake authors make is they're writing to themselves. And at the end of the day, the reader really doesn't care about you that much. They're looking for solutions. People
Yeah.
read books for two reasons. They buy books and read books for two reasons, either to escape their problems or to solve their problems. And fiction is popular because it's an escape. It's like
Hmm.
a leisure activity, like going to see a movie. But a lot of books are purchased just because we're looking for answers, and we're
Yeah.
looking for somebody who's already experienced what we're experiencing now. But readers want solutions. They don't want to know too much about your story, unless you have such an incredible story and it's written so well.
Right.
It happens sometimes as well. So, yeah, I would advise authors to be solution oriented as they write.
Do you find that you're, especially as we've kind of become this, for lack of better words, Instagram world, uh, that your title tends to become almost an 85% yes or no right out of the bat,
Yeah,
especially since you're saying answering the question that we're looking for?
Yeah, I think that's super important. And also, we are all now accustomed to reading content in short form.
Yeah.
So we're pretty impatient when we read. The average book today is like 40% shorter than it was 10 years ago.
Wow.
I also encourage my authors, the authors I work with, to write with that in mind. Don't belabor the point. Get to the
Yeah.
point. Write with a briskness that the reader is accustomed to reading all day long on social media.
Hmm.
Sometimes that's hard to do, and it's not saying that long books don't sell well. They still do sometimes, but unless you're a really really good writer, it's best to write with in mind with how readers are used to reading these days.
Yeah. Versus getting on there and just this, I call it the speaker problem, where it's like you just enjoy your voice so much.
Exactly.
Where
Exactly.
halfway through the speech, you could have just said, "Hey, don't do this, do that. I'll see you guys next week."
Exactly. Mhm.
So in this process, when you're working with writers, do you find that when you can almost kind of give them a yes or no based on topic what they're going into, because you can kind of get an idea of like, here's what's going on in the market right now and you know what the biggest topic is right now in the U.S. versus the world, and
Definitely, definitely. Publishing mirrors the culture. Where the culture is at, those are the books that are generally selling better.
yeah,
There's no question about that. It's a little tricky because it takes a little while to publish a book. It's not an overnight thing. So the
sure,
culture might be at a place today that it's not at 6 months from now or a year from now. So that's a little tricky sometimes. And I also encourage authors to think niche, think narrow.
mm,
Again, we are looking for specific answers to our specific questions and problems. So today, it's better to go narrow with a book rather than real broad with your book. There is a temptation to want to write a book for everybody, and I hear this.
yeah,
I want my book to be for everybody, and it's usually not a good idea. You really want your book to be for a sliver of the population. And if you can get that sliver of the population excited about your book, then you have a much better chance of that being a book for everybody. Rather than starting out here, you want to start right here.
Yeah, I feel like that your quickest lesson would be like, go post something on Facebook you think everyone's going to like. See how that turns out.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it.
Do you find on the entrepreneur side, do you find helping people understand to kind of link that business they're doing with their book can be like just exponential growth?
Yeah, sometimes. I would say that there's not many things you can do other than publish a book to put yourself on a pedestal. Like less than 0.5% of all people will ever write and publish a book. It's a small percentage of people. So, and we naturally put authors on a pedestal.
Yeah.
So once you are a published author, your credibility increases significantly. A lot of the people that I have worked with and helped, they would attribute their success as a consultant, professional speaker, etc., to having written and published a book. I'm biased, but I think it's the best way to do that.
So let's talk about kind of the AI time we're in. What are some of the strengths that people can start using AI for
sure
first?
In terms of writing, AI is great at helping to organize your thoughts, number one. It's also great at giving you new thoughts that you weren't thinking, right? So it's you prompt it and then it prompts you, you're prompting back and forth. So I think in those areas, it's phenomenal. If you give AI the opportunity to learn your voice, which isn't hard to do, you have to use it frequently for it to do that. But once you do that, it does begin to sound like you. And it can help a lot in the writing process in that way. So I think all writers are finding it to be hugely helpful. It certainly speeds the process up as well.
Yeah.
That being said, there's some dangers. And if you rely on it too much, then I think it can hurt you as a writer. It doesn't know your story. It knows nothing about you unless you tell it. So anything that it writes, it is aggregating data and information from everybody else's stories, but not yours. So if you're going to use AI to write, you need to help AI understand who you are. But it's hard to do, and I think that's where I think it ends at some point. In terms of its usefulness, it's going to be only so useful because there's just no way it can truly understand who you are.
Where do you think a best place to start with that when it comes to like getting AI to be useful for you, specifically in kind of the book writing area?
Yeah. I would start telling AI everything that you can think about yourself, whether or not it's relevant to the project you're working on.
Yeah.
If you're going to use it and use it effectively, you have to use it a lot, for better or for worse. It needs to understand who you are. I know some people who are using it constantly in that way, and they're talking to it, all day long. It's talking back to them, etc. And when you do that, it's going to be more useful or more helpful. Otherwise, it's just going to draw out information from who knows where, in an algorithmic way. And that writing is pretty easy to spot. I think we all, whether we're on LinkedIn or wherever we frequent our social media, habits are centered, we can all spot AI writing already, right? But that, I think it's easy to spot if you don't use it effectively. If you're using it the right way, it's pretty hard to spot.
So if we're talking kind of like the feeding the AI, are we talking like kind of if you've already kind of got a website built out around something you do, or because like in some instance, it's almost like you need to write the book, feed AI, then come back and start rewriting the book with AI.
Yes. 100%. And it's even helpful to take what one platform has written and feed it into another platform. So you might start with chat and then give it to Grok and then give it to Claude, bounce it back and forth, and then dive in yourself and add your own writing to it. If you do that, I think it can be highly effective.
Yeah, I like that.
If you're just pulling it straight out of one AI platform, putting it on paper and publishing that, readers are going to easily identify what that is, and the book it really will not have any life in the trade.
Yeah.
So I think where it gets really unpredictable is what is it going to be like in 6 months or a year? I foresee a day when AI can write a very high quality book, an entire book, in a very short amount of time. And when that happens, all bets are off. I'm not really sure where we're headed.
Yeah, that's fair. Because I mean, obviously, once we can get to a level that AI has an understanding of the human experience,
Yeah.
it's open to its own experiences. And obviously, currently, like you're saying, we already get a version of its experience that gets put on paper. But right now, it's clear to say it's
Yeah.
not the human experience, so we can see that tweak.
Yeah, and I think what might happen is, so most books that are written and published aren't, frankly, not very good.
Yeah,
There are millions of books self-published every year, which are not, the quality is not that great. I mean, it's probably down here. AI is going to raise the quality levels.
yeah,
In a lot of these books, it's going to raise it up here. But what that means is that to be successful as an author, the quality is going to have to be really high. So I think that's where this ultimately is headed. And I think this could be a good thing, is that only the truly qualified writers and authors, the ones who are telling the best stories in the best way, I think their opportunities are going to be greater, because I think readers are going to be hunting for and looking for the truly original material, because
yeah,
all the AI stuff will be better, but I think it's all going to, I don't know, merge together into sort of this giant cesspool of AI writing, which is
yeah.
good writing, but I think readers will get bored of that sort of writing. So they're going to be looking for something different. I guess really looking for something more human.
Yeah, because I would think, obviously, as AI gets better, it also kind of takes the not so great writer, or the people that didn't have couldn't afford the training to understand how to really get their thoughts onto a page, and it can also elevate their story. So people that have a great story that just aren't sure how to get it out there, this will give elevation to them as well, and provide a
Definitely.
spot.
Definitely. And that's a great thing. So
Yeah,
I think it's a great thing. It's new and it's different. It's scary. And I know lots of my friends and colleagues in publishing are afraid of it. They're worried about it. But as technology evolves, I think we have all found that it's not bad. It's just different.
yeah.
And so this is a new kind of different, and it's very unpredictable. But I'm a strong believer and proponent in using it.
Let's jump into the entrepreneurship around that one thing you were just saying, because I feel like a lot of people, even in I come from the entertainment world, and even in the entertainment world, like, this is years ago, but when we switched from a black and white headshot from actors to a colored headshot, people are like, "I'm never gonna use a colored headshot." I'm like, "What? You can just see, like, whatever color your eye." Like, I said, that's not a big deal.
Yeah.
And this idea of not embracing these changes to be on the forefront, you talked about, you started embracing this self-publishing idea before it became everyone's idea. And most likely other people were like, "Oh, no, I don't, that kind of freaks me out. I don't
Mhm.
think people should do that."
I heard a lot of that when I in my early days
Yeah.
in self-publishing, especially people in the industry. In fact, somebody told me once that I couldn't just publish books for money, and I said, "Well, why else are you doing it? Of course, you're just publishing books for money. That's why anybody publishes a book." So
Yeah.
it didn't make sense to me. But well, in the early days of the typewriter, there was a lot of criticism of the typewriter, actually, because people said it made it too easy to write, and people were now writing faster than they could before. So it actually took like a decade for the typewriter to catch on, because people were afraid of it. It's the same thing with every revolution in technology. You have your critics and stuff, but I think those who are successful are the ones who grab onto it, because
Yeah.
it's going to happen. It's going to happen either way. So it's better to get on the surfboard and ride the wave.
It's such an interesting parallel when you think about, like, all right, everyone writes by hand, so we know who wrote these. There's a typewriter. So my big fear is everyone's going to be copying each other's writing and we won't know who did it. To where we're at right now, everybody's going to have AI and they're going to be able to copy in the tone. I mean, you could literally go on there and say, "I'd like to write XYZ in the tone of Shakespeare."
That's correct. Mhm. Yeah. Yeah, for sure. So yes, anybody can now write in the style of anybody, their chosen author. And I know there's all sorts of legal battles going on in
Right.
this area. But I think that the challenge with these legal battles, or it's moving so fast. By the time somebody gets around to suing somebody for doing this, it's too late, because it's
Yeah.
all moving so fast. So yeah, that's an interesting thing as
Have
well.
you dealt with that so far?
In terms of,
have you had books come across your desk that you either got out there or you caught before that was like, yeah, it's just.
I mean, as far as like a style and tone cannot be copyrighted, words can be copyrighted, but not style.
Yeah.
So we, of course, check, we check for plagiarism. Every publisher does.
Yeah.
But plagiarism is different than saying, I want to write in the style of so-and-so. That can't be legally protected in any way, at least not yet. And I don't think it's possible to do that. So in that way, it's a brave new world in that way, for sure.
That's such an interesting little thing to dive into, because ooh, look, I turned into AI. Let's dive into that. It's interesting to think of the ability to now tone, because you can take one story, but if you now take a tweak to it and say, let's have it in the tone of Shakespeare, it automatically opens up this whole new world and a whole new fan base. If everyone's, it's kind of an interesting place as well. Like, you could literally have Amazon separating book sections into, these are all tone of, if that's kind of your favorite jam.
Yeah, that's actually a very interesting point. To date, Amazon has not attempted to vet books and place them in certain categories. Long ago, I thought that the traditional publishers, like the Random Houses and the HarperCollinses of the world, should have formed some sort of an organization or such to put like a good housekeeping seal of approval on a book or something, so that authors and readers knew this book has been vetted.
Yeah.
Part of the challenge right now, when you go to any online bookseller, whether it's Amazon or Barnes and Noble or whoever, you don't know if that book has been vetted, other than reading the reviews. And that's the strength of a traditional publisher, is that the books have been vetted, and that.
Yeah.
A Random House is not going to publish trash. It's going to be a quality book, and everybody knows it, as an example. But Amazon, or nobody's attempted to help the reader make these decisions, other than letting the readers and the buyers themselves post reviews on the books.
Yeah, which nowadays could also be AI.
I'm noticing that. I'm 100% noticing that in reviews. That is also frustrating.
Give me kind of an overall, maybe a 1, 2, 3 that you could see of steps for people to use when it comes to kind of their entrepreneurship, because obviously, everyone comes from different worlds, and whatever your business is going to have different tweaks that you need to do. But what are some good kind of 1, 2, 3s when it comes to breaking down your steps of being an entrepreneur?
Yeah, that's a great question. Number one is maybe obvious, but you just got to start. I've talked to so many people who say, I have this idea, I have that idea. Sometimes they've held on to an idea for their whole life.
Yeah.
So sometimes you just have to start, and you can't overthink it, because it's hard to predict the path it's going to take. Many of the early on decisions you make are going to be bad decisions, because you don't really know what's going to happen. But unless you take the plunge, it's not going to happen. So that's number one. Number two, you mentioned early on, get some advice from other people. Too often entrepreneurs act like a lone wolf, and part of that is, I think, important and necessary, because it is you against the world. But you got to get some advice from people who know what they're doing, and they'll be glad to give it. Number three, wow, they say everything costs more and takes more time than you think it's going to, and it will. So build that into your plans in the beginning. You got to build that in. If you have too high of expectations about when it's all going to come together and how much it's going to cost, then that's going to bite you, and you might not survive. So it's hard to do. Entrepreneurs naturally are very optimistic people, and we have big ideas and big visions and big plans, and you got to be that way. So, but sometimes you have to kind of build in your own checks and balances, and make sure you're not getting ahead of yourself, because it's probably going to take longer than you think. Not always, but it probably will. So just build that into your planning early on.
Were there any books you came across in the entrepreneurial world that you're like, oh, this one is one I go back to sometimes?
Oh, wow. Dave Ramsey has a great book on entrepreneurship, which is probably my favorite. It's real practical. It's a real practical guide. Offhand, I don't even remember the name of the book. It's I don't remember. It's Dave Ramsey's book on entrepreneurship. It's a great. I mean, there are so many, honestly.
Well, I can do this for us.
You're gonna look it up. You're gonna ask it. You're gonna ask
Dave Rams. I'm right.
I've got it here. I've got it somewhere behind me, but I'm not gonna turn around at this point and see.
No, we got it. I'll find it in a second. I'll mention it towards the end when we have it.
Entrepreneur. Oh, Entre Leadership, I think it's called. The Entre Leadership.
They'll find it. People know how to search now. We got AI for that.
Yeah, it's a great handbook. It's super practical.
Yeah.
So it helped to ground me. So
That's
to get
great.
beyond the big idea stage. And
Yeah.
I mean, having done this for so long, I still am a victim to it because I have some big ideas that I still want to execute, right? But breaking that down to executable actions is a challenge for myself, and I think for all entrepreneurs. You're thinking with the end at where you want it to be at the end, the big vision, but you're starting here, so you got to figure out how to get from here to there.
Are there any books that you've found that were helpful in that, on just the mindset side of what you've been doing?
On the mindset side, oh wow, you asked me a question I can't answer offhand because there's so many, and they're probably not business books, actually.
Sure.
So one of my favorite books is a book called Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl. It's not a business book at all. It's a book to help you understand how to overcome obstacles in life. And actually, in terms of mindset, A Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl it's my number one favorite book. So I think it's applicable for life and for business.
It's funny. One of my questions was going to be, if you had to publish one book, what would it be? But that would
it would have been the first Harry Potter book if I had that.
Nice.
So
well played.
$1 billion in sales.
Well, okay. Let me ask that then.
Yeah.
Harry Potter would be the one if it had to be in fiction, right? And then the other one for
in nonfiction. If I could have published any nonfiction book in history, I mean, I'm a huge John Maxwell fan, so any of John Maxwell's books, particularly his early ones. So I'm a huge fan of his works, and I think John has written upwards of 40 books, and they're all good. So, and he writes to leadership, of course. So that would be my answer. Any of John's books.
All right. And Tom, what do you have on the horizon? What are you looking into right now? What are you doing yourself?
Yeah, big plans. So I work with authors, day in and day out, and I've been doing that for many years. So that is one. That's a core of what we do here at the Freiling Agency, is help authors get published. But we have some other divisions of the company that we're developing. We are working with pediatric dental practices on a custom children's book. That's a completely different.
Say that again, on a custom what?
A custom children's book for pediatric dental offices. So it's a custom children's book. It's called The Dentosaurus, and the story involves the child and the dentist and a blue dinosaur. And so we have practices all across the country that absolutely adore this book, and we send it to the child on behalf of the dentist.
Wow.
So that's a children's book product. So we're super excited about that. And a few other things I might tell you about on the next podcast.
All right. I mean, that one's really cool by itself. Did you, how did that come about?
That was actually an acquisition. The company has existed for many years, and it had the owner was going into retirement or semi-retirement, and I found him by accident. And I thought, well, gosh, with my experience in publishing, and I've worked on some children's books as well, it just felt like a great fit for the company, right? Because it's a publishing product, and but it was also something new and different. So I have learned the older I get, and the been in the industry for 30 years, I've learned to keep things fresh and fun, to do some things that are very different and totally different. And this was totally different than anything I've ever done, and having a blast doing it. And I acquired the business about less than a year ago, and we've completely transformed the book and the website and our marketing outreach and our messaging, and having a blast.
That's really neat. That's its own little business and industry right around that by itself.
It is, yeah.
Before I let you go, give me that. How important is it to you to continually find fun in what you're doing?
Oh, that's such a good question. And it's important to be intentional about that. And I learned that probably the hard way on more than one occasion because, owning your own business is hard work.
Yeah.
And it's easy to get down on yourself and on others. And, the anxiety can set in and all of that. So I learned the hard way. I've been through it more than once to be intentional about having fun while you're doing it. So whatever that might mean for you, for some people it's fishing, for some people it's biking, working out. I intentionally take walks every day, more than one walk. My office is situated on Main Street in a beautiful old community in Virginia. So I'll just leave the office 2 or 3 times a day, take a short walk, breathe the air, forget about what I'm doing, that sort of thing. So whatever it is, you just got to do it. You just got to do it.
Yeah, some people be surprised on how much that break ends up giving you the breakthrough that you were looking for to begin with. Because sitting in the office with the heat of and the weight of trying to figure it out, it's just you got to think differently to get a different answer.
Yeah, I think that our best ideas, and I'm sure you can attest to this too, come when you're not thinking about it.
Absolutely.
So you got to build in those times when you're not thinking about it.
Yeah.
But work is fun for me. So I love work. And so it's not like it's a grind, but at the same time, I love it.
Yeah.
Well, I find it fun, but if you don't find some other ways to have fun, you're not going to last.
All right. Closing with fun. I have got a few quick questions for you. Ready?
Let's go.
Just spit out the answer.
All right.
Print or digital?
Print.
Self-publishing or traditional?
In between, hybrid.
Long form or short?
Well, short form. Yeah, for me.
Quiet cabin or buzzing coffee shop?
Oh, wow. That depends on my mood. I would say I like to work in a buzzing coffee shop. When I work, I like for there to be noise around me. I don't like to work in silence.
Yeah.
If I need to get away on vacation, definitely the cabin.
All right. And then last one, story first, marketing first.
Story first, always.
All right.
That's what people remember is the story.
Love it.
Yeah.
Thank you for hanging out with me today, Tom. Where can everybody find you?
Hey, my website's the best place to find me, freilingagency.com, or just look for Tom Freiling on LinkedIn or on Twitter/X or Instagram.
Right. Perfecto. And as for everyone else, thank you guys for hanging out. If you want to like it, share it, and add some comments down below, we appreciate it. And if you're looking to build out your podcast, reach out to us. Maybe we can help. See you on the next one.
Thanks for joining us on this episode of Partnerships for Profit. We hope you've gained valuable insights on how to form profitable partnerships and take your business to the next level. Be sure to subscribe and leave us a review wherever you listen to podcasts so you never miss an episode. Got a partnership story to share or someone you'd like to see featured on the show? Reach out to us. Until next time, keep building those partnerships for profit.